Hi guys, welcome back to the Home and Homestead. If you're new to the channel, I'm Rebecca. Today we're going to be doing some food preservation, and I'm going to go over a little kitchen tip that I use whenever I'm going to prepare a lot of tomatoes in order to do a food preservation project. For instance, if I need to prepare a lot of tomatoes to make some tomato sauce, Italian tomato sauce, ketchup, barbecue sauce, or spaghetti sauce, I like to use this technique. I can do a huge volume of tomatoes in a short amount of time, and I'm able to remove the seeds and skins, and then I can use that to make another item that I like to use in recipes. So follow along with me in the kitchen while I show you how I prepare my tomatoes using the KitchenAid Stand Mixer. So first I'll go over the essential items we need for doing this process. You'll need a KitchenAid Stand Mixer, and then the KitchenAid food grinder attachment, and then the KitchenAid food strainer and food mill attachment, which is this little sleeve that goes over, and it has a little splash guard cover. It has this little white spindle that goes inside of the actual mill strainer, and then the little bar attachment that will go into our stand mixer. I also purchased a larger hopper attachment, which is really handy because otherwise you only have this amount of space for your hopper for putting in your tomatoes, and this gives you a lot more room. So when I start preparing my machine and all these attachments for adding to my stand mixer, the food grinder attachment comes with these 3 pieces, and I just store them together as you saw. And we're not going to need these, so we can put these aside. Inside of here there is its little dowel advancer, as well as the metal plug that goes into the KitchenAid stand mixer. We don't need that either because we're going to be using the one that comes with the food mill attachment. So now let's get our food grinder attached to the food mill and strainer, and then we can get this put onto our KitchenAid stand mixer. So here we're going to use the metal plug that will go into our stand mixer that came with the food strainer and grinder. We're going to put this right in the middle of the grinder till it clicks and this little post sticks out. Now we're going to put the food strainer as well as the white coil that'll help advance any food through it. And we're going to put that into the food grinder, and there's a little square tab here that lines up, and then we'll put the sleeve on to tighten that on. Now we have the food grinder and the food mill components put together, so now we can just put the splash guard on over the food mill part, and it's just a little sleeve that goes over, and that strainer attachment goes through the hole of the splash guard, and it just rests over the top, and then it has this little clear guard as well. Now when you put the tomatoes through, the sauce will come out here, and the seeds and the skin will come out the tip. And then again, I have the larger hopper attachment, and that just simply slides on. And now we have a nice big surface for our food that we're going to put through this grinder and strainer. So now let's go attach this to our KitchenAid stand mixer, and I can start preparing my tomatoes. So what we're going to do is use the attachment hub on our KitchenAid stand mixer. So you just simply remove this black screw enough to remove the hub cover. And then we're going to put this metal post from our attachment here right through into here. And there's a little recess line. Take this all the way so you can see the square of this post. So this attachment can be tightened with this black screw. And now our food mill attachment is all ready to go. Now let's do a little bit of preparation for tomatoes before they go into the food mill. So I like to take a tomato corer, and I go in and I remove that central core of that tomato. And then if there's any damaged or dark spots that I don't want to have in my sauce, I simply remove that with the knife. And these larger tomatoes, I like to cut into quarters. These are Romas, so some of them are a nice small size and will go in whole, or I may just have to, this could go in whole. This I could probably cut in half, but larger ones like I just did, I put those into quarters. So now what I'm going to do is prepare my tomatoes, get them in this bowl, and then we'll put them through the KitchenAid and we'll start making a bunch of sauce. All right, so here I have all my tomatoes I'm going to process today, all cored and quartered. So they are ready to go into the KitchenAid food mill attachment. So let's get making some tomato sauce. So I'll turn my KitchenAid on here, just a medium-low setting. And you'll start pressing down the tomatoes. Turn it up one more setting just to get things going. With this big hopper, I can put a bunch on here. I'll just keep sliding them through. All right, so I have the KitchenAid on speed 6. That works really well for creating the tomato puree for making our tomato sauce. So what I'm going to do is move this out, and then I'll put a little bowl or a measuring cup under there just to catch any drips that might happen. And then I'm going to transfer this tomato puree into a Rubbermaid takeaway container, and it's all pre-measured for 8 cups. And that'll be a batch for if I do tomato sauce, spaghetti sauce, and pizza sauce, and things like that. Now in this front bowl, I have the skins and the seeds, and I'm going to save that as well. And you can check out my video on how I dehydrate. You could also freeze dry the scraps in order to make a tomato powder, which is a great tomato paste substitute. That tomato powder or tomato based substitute works really well for thickening up a sauce or adding a nice rich tomato flavor to your recipe. So let's keep preparing these tomatoes using the setup we have here, and we'll just chug along and go through this bushel of tomatoes. All right, so far I have 3 double batches worth of tomato puree that I can use for various tomato sauces. So I thought for the last bowl of our tomatoes, I would do some diced tomatoes. That way I can make some tomato based salsas. So I'm using my KitchenAid slice, dice, and julienne attachment. I have an unboxing video on that if you want to check that out for more information regarding this attachment. So basically, you attach it to the front of your stand mixer just like we did the food strainer. You attach the dicing disc and then this little slicing wheel. So this will slice it, and then the tomato gets pushed through the dicing attachment to make these perfectly diced little squares of tomato. I have some in this bowl that I've done so far. So I'll continue to prep these tomatoes probably until I'm able to get a double batch or maybe even a triple batch of these diced tomatoes. So for a soft vegetable or fruit such as a tomato, you'd put the stand mixer on setting 4. So here's one batch worth of some diced tomatoes. We have nice little square pieces of the diced tomato and some of the softer tomatoes and the juices, so that'll make a really nice texture for some homemade salsa that I'll then later can as well. So now I'm going to continue to prepare my tomatoes using the 2 different types of KitchenAid Stand Mixer attachments, so I can have either tomato puree for making various tomato sauces and some nice diced tomatoes for making some tomato based salsas that I will later can. Alright, here we have all those fresh tomatoes processed, and by using the help of my KitchenAid Stand Mixer and those couple of attachments that I've grown to love using for food preservation prep, I have 6 batches of tomato puree for different tomato sauces, 5 batches of diced tomatoes for doing some nice tomato based salsas, and then also a nice big container of the tomato scraps that I'm going to dehydrate or freeze dry in order to make that tomato paste substitute. So if you like more inspiration or ideas on food preservation projects, I have different types of tomato-based sauces, from barbecue sauce, pizza sauce, Italian tomato sauce, and ketchup. And I also have some zucchini salsa and fruit-based salsas. So check those videos out if you'd like to see some different recipes of how you can use fruits and vegetables that you prep for something that you can then prepare and have to use throughout the year. So be sure to check out my food preservation playlist and recipes in the kitchen playlist. And if you're into gardening or organization and home decor, I have some videos on that content as well. If you're new to the channel or haven't done so yet, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe. So please hit the subscribe button below if you haven't done so yet. And I hope that you continue to watch my channel, The Home and Homestead, for some more homemade, homegrown, and home-style inspiration. If you enjoyed this or any other video that you watch, please be sure to give it a thumbs up as well. I hope you're having a fantastic day. See you next time. Take care.